Here's our test subject number one. This long scrap of tube. It was out there in my backyard, and this is gonna be our test subject. It looks like it bends well, so hopefully I won't get any kinks or whatever. But we'll chop off a bit here first. We'll see how that plays out. Nice. There's our piece. There's our cut. Harbor Freight blade. Milwaukee. Cut through like butter. Not really, but this is actually pretty thick. We got a new weapon in our arsenal. 12-ton hydraulic pipe bender. As you guys can see, bends 1/2 inch to 2 inch Schedule 40, Schedule 80 steel pipes, and all that jibber jabber that you guys can read right there. But it's right here. Look at this. Alright folks, here is the hydraulic pipe bender. Out and about, as you can see, we have all different sizes of die here. We have our rollers, these thick old boys. Our pins, here's our R pins, here's the handle, and well, here is the pipe bender itself. We got a pretty decent frame. Not bad. The welds on it though, well, they're a lot better than my welds. So we got a pretty simple operation here, guys. As you can imagine, you'd lay your pipe right in here, and of course you'd set the rollers to the appropriate level here, and then all you're doing, jamming the handle in the fulcrum and pump away. But of course, before you start pumping, you know this is our release valve here, righty-tighty to make sure we got some pump action, and lefty-loosey to release. Pretty simple operation, folks. I mean, not much else. It doesn't immediately go down as you would when you release it, but hand pressure will take care of that. That's our release valve. Righty-tighty to tighten it up and start pumping. Here is the where you fill in hydraulic fluid if need be. We'll go ahead and move on to our different size dies here. We have the big Beefy 2 inch die here. Now I don't think I'll ever be using 2 inch pipe. 1 1/2, 1 1/4, and then I have 1 inch on the piston right now. We go down to 3/4, and lastly, we got a nice, beautiful 1/2 inch. So that's it, folks. Let's go ahead and, well, let me just show you some stuff that I've bent so far. Look at this. This is a pickaxe, my beaten stick, as I like to call it. Look at this. Very nice. Okay, don't look at the welds, but look at the bends. No kinks. Straight up beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bends. If you don't think that's impressive, folks, peep this. Now, if you follow my channel originally for the truck, then you already know what this is for. We are creating an exoskeleton / ladder rack for my Super Crew F-150. And essentially I'm going to have this on one side and of course on the other side, and then weld the top piece to connect them. And it's going to look like an exoskeleton cage, but that's truck projects. Let's look at the bending here. Look at this. Look at that. Excellent bends. No kinks. Look at that. Bent it outwards. It's brilliant. Love it. Excellent. This here I was messing around. Just did some tack welding these two pieces. Joined them together. But look at that. Beautiful, nice bends here. Might also be the material, but we're home making this a bull bar here, a push bar. Not really. Now, according to the instructions, each of these slots corresponds to the size of pipe you're bending. So furthest one is obviously going to be the 2-inch die, which is the largest this thing can handle. And of course, the smallest right over here would be a tiniest 1/2 inch. Now of course, remember this is 1-inch tubing, and 1 inch belongs right on the third from the bottom here. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, because 2 inches, the rollers are going to be pretty far up, and you have to, whoa, I'm not quite sure how far the piston can extend to, considering the fact that the rollers are all the way out here and your pipe needs to be all the way out. I'm not sure. Again, the instructions also say that this thing should be upright. It should never be used while laying down or on the floor. But that's odd because it has these little feet, these little stands at the end so that you can actually lay it down on its side. And that's exactly how I bent my exoskeleton here. Especially when you're dealing with a ridiculously long tube, that thing is definitely going to have to lay down on the ground to accommodate such a ridiculous length. So I guess it's more of a recommendation, really. We'll go ahead and counterclockwise the release valve. Boom. Now mine doesn't, it should normally go all the way down. Not sure why mine doesn't, but hand pressure returns it back to its position. Let's keep this bad boy. Oh, a lot of dust, but look at that. Look at that. Let me see if I can get you guys closer in, zeroed in on this thing. Look at that. Again, this is the tubing that they use on chain metal fences. This would be considered the handrail. But look at that. This is excellent. Dude, pipe bender, man. This is awesome. Recommended, folks. If you're interested in the truck progress, be sure to subscribe because this is a pretty big job. But I'm excited. You know, I want to do something unique with my truck, something different. And this right here is going to be our key, along with some welding, but that's a separate issue. So what I have here is, again, some more of the tubing that I found in my backyard. But as you guys can tell, it's already pre-bent. Not sure how we found it like this. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to do my best to try to straighten this thing out using the pipe bender like this. That's going to be ridiculously difficult to do and probably very time consuming, but let's try it out. Let's see what happens. Alright, so here is our result. Now if you guys remember, that piece was a pretty giant S, and I tried to straighten it as best as I could. Obviously that thing is not going to perform miracles, so I wasn't really expecting much, but for the most part, you know, yeah, I mean, obviously I probably could have put more time into it. Here's the other one. It's very difficult to correct those kinds of bends on these things. So instead I just cut it in half to try to get 2 straight pieces. Well, they're not really straight, but you guys can see what we did. Now, the next thing I want to do with this is test it out with this bad boy over here. 1/16 inch square tube. So according to the packaging, this thing can also bend square tubes. 1 inch by 36. That kind of confirms it. This is not meant to be bent. So I should probably stop now, but I'm also curious to see what happens and what the outcome is if I continue to bend this square tube. That's clearly not malleable. Huh. I think I broke it. Yep, it's broken. No wonder it's very weak. Okay. There we have it. And slip this bad boy out. Oh yeah, look at that kink. Since when exactly does square tube bend? You're better off just cutting it in half, doing 45, 45, and welding that together. Not sure why I tried. Just curiosity, folks. This was just curiosity. And there you have it, folks. Harbor Freight 12-ton hydraulic pipe bender. You saw this thing work into action. You saw I'm able to create my project for my baby, my F-150. Now just imagine a little exoskeleton on the exterior of this bad boy. All thanks to this. We have our pipe. We're using some fence tubing, fence piping, whatever you want to call it. Bends, no kinks. Fantastic work. We straightened out that S for the most part, but you guys can see just what kind of bends we're able to do here. Make your own push bar. Eventually, I would like to make either a little push bar for the Subaru or a roll cage if I'm ambitious enough. But for now, we're going to start off with the truck exoskeleton slash ladder rack, because that's really what this is going to be. Essentially just a ladder rack, but a cool looking one. Anywho, folks, 140 bucks. Seriously, can't go wrong with it. Fantastic way to get some decent welds, decent bends I should say, not decent welds. You're not going to get that here. But definitely practice, folks. And of course, another tip is to fill the tube up with sand. Pack it in there nicely so that way you can avoid getting kinks. But man, whatever material that they use on the chain metal fences out here, it's fantastic. I didn't know it would bend this big. This is great. Look at that. Fantastic work. And these are actually pretty decent thickness too. You won't be able to bend this by hand. Not a bloody chance. But this thing over here, folks, add to your shop to get that professional appearance on your weekend warriors out there. Maybe you have some better tips. I am just now starting to bend tubes and pipes, whatever. And we did pretty well so far just on eyeing this stuff. So, you know, it's not incredibly difficult to use. But of course, any advice would also be helpful, guys. And a big old puddle of water coming in. This is such a... look, oh my, folks. This is like one of the episodes on 1,000 Ways to Die. If you guys even remember that show. Water coming in because we got a leak. So we have to move our welder. But geez, this is terrible. Just almost as terrible as my welds here.